Good day, Ally. How are you?
Oh, I am punchy this morning. Punchy. So who knows what's going to even happen in the next 45 minutes that we spend together. How are you?
I'm not sure that I would ever say that you are not punchy. So,
Oh,
except maybe when you hurt your back. Like that might be an
well,
exception.
yeah, that was a whole other, I don't know. That was being punched rather than punchy. Yeah,
The
totally.
universe knocked you down there.
Sure did. Sure did. But we're back and we're swinging this morning with a fabulous new topic, metrics. Nothing makes people more excited than metrics.
I know. You know what? It should make people excited, though, honestly, because we don't track them often enough, and then we don't know what our success is.
So true. So true. So before we dive into today's topic, I just want to let everybody know that season 2 of Unscripted is like nearly at its close because we're already in November. So next month marks the last episode of 2025, the end of season 2. And it's like, whoa, how has it been 2 years already?
Yeah, I agree. It really doesn't feel like it's been 2 full years. And I very much still enjoy it from the beginning, and I'm enjoying it just as much now.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. We get to hang out and we get to just like fly off the cuff about all things writing and publishing.
And it's how our conversations would be if we weren't live. It would not make any difference.
And we do know that now because we've spent some time in person together. Still one of the highlights of my year.
I am going to absolutely put that in the same bucket. And I know last time we talked about trying to find a photo. I'm just going to dump all of them to you in Slack. And then you can like really relive how bad they are and see if there's anyone that you feel comfortable tagging me in on the internet. So yeah. I will.
Honestly, maybe season 3 is just going to have a vibe of like awkward family photo, but like awkward co-host photos instead.
We easily took probably 45 pictures, none of which are
useful.
So we could absolutely
through the entire thing.
That's a great idea. We just use a bad photo for every episode. All right. I like your mindset.
For every single episode, because even those are truly unscripted.
Yeah. If we did a little extra planning, we would have been okay.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of on brand in a weird kind of way. Like if only we had had a skeleton also in those photos, that would have really made it.
I know. And, it was October and I do travel with a skeleton in my car, and I'll share a little story for everyone. Like, for anyone watching, I think people know that I'm obsessed with Halloween, but I had a skeleton sitting in my passenger seat of my car last season and just, there to bring joy to those around me, except I was driving my partner's car and we were coming into the driveway. And I forgot that I was in her car and the skeleton was sitting in my passenger seat, and it scared me half to death. Like it scared me to like the core of my being that I couldn't breathe. And she's like, yeah, think about what you're doing to other people all season. I'm like, I thought I was bringing them joy. That was not true. And so now I don't keep one as regularly in my car in October. But had I not scared myself, we would have absolutely had an extra prop.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Last year around Christmas time, because Christmas is my favorite, but Halloween is my son's, I put our big skeleton in my front seat, passenger side, and put a Santa hat on him with blinking lights. And of course, it's dark by 4, right? So around the time that I'd go and get him from school, all you could see picking him up on that side of the car was a skeleton with blinking Christmas lights and the Santa hat. And it always made all of the kids just like crack up, with my car showing up. And of course, I also put the antlers and the nose on my car. So like the kids already kind of know the Christmas car is coming around the corner here, but then you've got Santa skeleton in the front. I don't know if I'm going to do that again this year, but it was a lot of fun last year.
We are skipping past Thanksgiving, and I do have turkey hats that fit skeleton heads in case I need to ship you one. So.
Oh my gosh. All right, folks. Enough of the holiday chit chat. We're going to dive into today's topic. But of course, if you are here live, we would love for you to drop a hello into the comments or any of your questions as we dive into today's topic, which is what metrics should you use to define your success as an author? And I think where I want to just begin is kind of saying, the very first thing before you actually choose those metrics is really understanding how you define success. So that's not going to be the same for everyone. Some people are going to define success from a measure of how the feedback is on the book. You know, what are people saying? Something more qualitative, while as others might find that the metric they want to track has to do more with revenue generation, sales, awards received, right? So there's a variety of different metrics that you could use to determine if your book has been successful, but you need to really understand what that success looks like as an author.
I could not agree more. It's actually my book, Publish Your Purpose. Like that's one of the starting chapters is like, what are your goals and how are we actually measuring what success looks like? So yeah, I think there is qualitative versus quantitative because I think everyone just kind of comes from it from a different perspective. There are some authors that are writing books that are in alignment with a business or a profession or a career that they're up to. And then there's other people who are writing for fun or for legacy purposes or something like that. And I think even just that split between those two types of authors will have very different metrics that they might be tracking.
Yeah. So let's talk then let's do qualitative metrics first, and then we'll move into some quantifiable ones. Okay. So qualitative metrics, things such as reviews, endorsements, reader feedback, beta reader feedback. I would put book awards in qualitative, and I'll explain why in a moment. So anything else, Jen, you would put under a qualitative type of metric to look at?
No, I feel like that kind of covers at least the high level ones.
Okay. So what I want to do is I just want to spend a moment kind of like parceling these things out, because to some, it might seem like, well, isn't that just all the same? Yeah. They're all similar is what I would say, but they're not necessarily the same. So reviews can come from anybody who picks up the book, buys it, reads it, right? And then leaves an actual comment of the nature of the book on some sort of platform. Could be Goodreads, could be Amazon, could be other review sites. Like some people have specific blogs or websites that are just for reviewing books. And then there are also reviews that you can pay for, such as Kirkus, right? Kirkus does reviews, and that includes independent or self-published books. Those are paid reviews, but still carry a lot of reputability and clout if you get a good one, especially if you get what would be called their, and just like that, the words.
I know the word. It's just not here. It'll come to you.
It's going to come to me. But there's a certain type of review that you can get from Kirkus that basically means it's the best of the best, right? Type of review. And Kirkus is only one example of a review body, right? But when you get those reviews that are saying this book is great, I mean, that's a simple kind of summarization. That to me shows that the manuscript, the book as a final product, has done its job. It's a well done piece of work, right? Beta reader comments. Beta readers are coming before the book is even out published. All right. They're the early readers. They're seeing it before it's in its final format. And if they're able to say like, yeah, there's something about this book that's really great, and they have no developmental feedback for the author to correct, then the book is successful and the book will be successful. If you've wowed or impressed your beta readers, then likely what's going to happen on the other side, right, is you're going to impress the readers who buy it and leave those reviews, right? Endorsers to me is a different level of success, because even though those people have read the book and left a testimonial, your endorsers are usually people that are adjacent to you in your field or industry or space, right? So this is like your peers saying kudos. Yes, you did a great job. They're high-fiving, they're confirming you know what you're talking about, or what you've said has been done really well. So all in that kind of like, these people have all read and critiqued the book, but they're all coming from a slightly different lens. Anything you want to add to all of that?
I feel like it was a good summation. And I think there's the metric side of it that are kind of like the easy metrics, right? Like where it's how many reviews did you get on Amazon? How many reviews did you get on Goodreads? How many endorsers did you get? And then the added layer of that is maybe from a metric standpoint and tracking success is how many of them did something else that supported this too. So if someone left a review on Amazon, did they also tag you in some kind of social post that was talking about how amazing your book was? Or if somebody you asked to be an endorser and wrote a testimonial for the inside of your book, for example, were they able to also additionally promote your book when the book became available? So it's almost like there's the very direct, like, here's a number tied to this, but then there's also the what else might they have helped you do? And that obviously requires strategy to even know that maybe you should be asking people to kind of help you in those ways.
Yeah. Now, is the magic number on Amazon still like 50 reviews in order for it to kind of boost the visibility of the book in search results?
That is the number that I'm operating by. I know that, like when we start with an author, we try to saying get 50 reviews out of the gate for someone can be really overwhelming. So we'll just start with 10, just go get 10, then aim for 50, then aim for 100. And after 100, my understanding is that it's not until 1,000 that you get the next visibility boost. So it's and I don't even know if 100 really makes much of a difference between 50 and 100, other than just the optics of it, right? Like if someone goes to both of our books and one of them has 1,500 views and the other has 3, clearly there's going to be, people are going to infer what they believe about the book, even if it's not accurate. But, reviews and reviews in particular really have huge amounts of weight in terms of books.
The other thing too, from a quantifiable standpoint with those reviews, is especially on Amazon, right? You give it a star rating, and there's 5 stars to choose from. So if you end up with 50 reviews, you can then do the math on what's the average star rating on your book based on, the number of people who give it a 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, to then be able to say on average, my book is a 4-star, book to read. I just want to acknowledge the folks that are joining us from LinkedIn. Hello, welcome. Let us know if you have questions in the comments. I think the other thing that's quantifiable, right, is if you end up with sending out, let's say, 10 endorsement requests, right, and you're only really trying to get 2 to be able to put onto the back cover of the book, but all 10 people agree to read, and then all 10 people are like, this was amazing. Yeah. Well, now you've just built your advanced praise section, which goes into the front of the book, right? And so now, from a quantifiable standpoint, you can say in your marketing and promotion, 10 advanced praise endorsements are in the front matter of this book, and all 10 of them say things like great, inspiring, transformative, right? But there's that number, right? Wow. You asked X number of people in your field to give the book a read, and 99.9% of them came back with stellar, stellar review.
Yeah, because if you aren't doing something right, the market will tell you. And I think that's the key here when it comes to books, is that, I don't know, it seems like for books, the bar is different, where people have no problem sharing how bad a book is and not doing anything that would be in support of the author, versus I think there's plenty of other bad products that exist that people may not go through the same level of effort to share how bad something is. It's almost just like books and reviews are just completely hand in hand. So, if you reach out to people and your peers and they're like, no, thank you. They might not even be criticizing it or saying anything negative about it, but they might just be saying no, thank you. That might be a sign that you were somehow missing some mark within your text.
Yeah. Awards are another area that can both be quantitative and qualitative. So qualitatively, right, when you are, let me start over. Not all awards are created equal. Okay. And if we're thinking of best-selling status as something that is award-like, then best-selling status is not always an indicator of quality of the book. So that's my caveat. When I'm talking about awards, I'm not necessarily talking about algorithm-oriented, status symbols. I'm really talking about bodies of people, professionals and people who are in the writing space, who are reading and actually critiquing a book for quality output.
Yes.
All right. So, Nonfiction Authors Association has an award program. Independent Publishers of New England has an award program. Independent Book Publishers Association has an awards program. Now you have to pay for those awards programs to enter, right? There's an entry fee. That doesn't mean that you automatically get an accolade. You could win no award after it's been reviewed, or you could be categorized into, gold, silver, or bronze, depending on, how they do the rankings. But those are actual bodies of people who are looking at the quality of the book and looking at it from a variety of perspectives, not just the writing itself, but also could be the cover design, the interior design, the whole package altogether. Whether or not you actually, were an authority of the content, right? Because you could have a really well-written book, but it could sound vanilla and not sound like you're actually the authority figure on the content, even if all your sentences make sense, right? Yeah. So, awards have a way of providing some qualitative information on your success as an author and the success of a book. But then when you've won multiple awards, that's where the quantitative data comes in, right? Because now when you can say you're a 4-time award-winning author, that carries some weight, right? Wow, that book was awarded multiple times. It's proven across several bodies to do what it's promised to do.
Yes. And you were saying that not all are created equal. And so there are some awards out there that kind of give an award to anybody. And the reality is that your average reader probably doesn't know who does it that way or not. Yeah. So, I like to advise our authors to go for the more reputable awards. But every now and then they'll find something out there that's super niche and narrow. And they're like, I want to go for this one. It's like, you do you. I think you should go for these because if you have one of these, this actually means something. This one I don't really know about, but if you just simply want to say award winning, it's still better because, there could be, it's not like there's going to be 5 gold winners in a category. They might just have lower standards, perhaps. I still am a big believer in going for the ones that are going to give you good feedback. I've been an award judge for probably, I think, like 8 years now. I should probably look to see when I started doing this. And every fall I get like 60 books that I have to go through and I have to rate them. And I'm a design judge. So I'm looking, I do not care about the text in any way, shape, or form. I care about how it's formatted. And I'm looking for the interior and the exterior design of the book. And it's always fascinating to kind of see like what's going on. But the benefit from a feedback standpoint and measuring our success standpoint is if you submit your book to one of the reputable awards, they're not just going to say, no, your book didn't place. They're going to say, here's what our judges said about your book. And they're going to share the feedback forms that we as judges are required to complete. Like they share it verbatim. So I have to make sure that how I'm writing things will land very gently with the reader, especially if it's not the best feedback, for example. So that can be a great way to kind of measure your success too, because even if you did get gold, you're still going to get that feedback that says you won gold because of this, and this reason, or you didn't place because of these couple of reasons. And then if you want to take the extra step in fixing, improving, and repackaging it and putting it out again, you have that option because you've had people's eyes on it that really know what they're looking for.
Yeah. Well said. So all of those qualitative things there are ways to quantify success from them. But what about just straight up like quantifiable metrics? I'm thinking sales, copies sold, ROI, those types of things. I mean, I think first of all, you have to understand what your own measure of that is. Like, are you going to be happy if your book sells X, right? Like you need to know what your own marker is. I mean, one thing that I always, when I'm working with clients, and it's sobering, of course, but, and I think that this still holds true, that the average sales on a self-published book in its lifetime is 250.
Yeah, that's the number I go by.
Yikes, folks. Average 250. Lifetime, not year one, not first 5 years, lifetime. Okay. Now, of course, there are some specific things to be thinking about in that, right? So number one, self-published. So it's a very specific type of book. But two, if 250 is the average, then that means that there are people who have sold a lot less than that, right? And also
Yes.
more. So I'm always like, hey, if you hit 250 in pre-sale, and you're already doing better than most self-published
100
books, right? Even if that feels low. But it's a really saturated market. I mean, how many books are published every single day across the various channels?
Yeah. And you know what? I'll give you some data that is that hasn't come out yet. You may recall that I did a book marketing survey back in the summer. We're in the process of designing it now. All of the data has been aggregated, but in the first 30 days, so this was a survey that 238 authors participated in from all different paths of publishing. It wasn't specifically self, traditional, or hybrid, and 58% sold 0 to 100 in the first 30 days. 20% sold over 100 to 500. And only 8% sold 500 to 1,000. And it just kind of, the numbers keep getting a little more grim, if you will. 13% sold between 1,000 and 5,000, and only 0.6% sold over 5,000 copies of their book in the first 30 days. And if we look at in the first 12 months, that over 5,000 is only 0.7%. So when we're thinking about realistic numbers, I have people that are like, I need to sell 100,000 copies of my book in the first like couple of months. And it's like, okay, let's rewind and see, like, is that even achievable? Like, do you have the right platform? Do you have the right following? Do you have a mailing list even? And if I look at the first 12 months, only 28% of authors from the survey sold up to 100 books, was 28%. And then up to 500 is 27%. So that's, like a sizable number of books that are just not selling. And it's very much the minority of sales that are over. The report goes into more detail that shows that, like, in some cases, the actual sale of the book itself was not the priority. It was the ecosystem that it's tied to. It's the speaking, it's the consulting, it's the other revenue generating opportunities. I know for my book, I'm all for giving it away. Like, that's one of the things I think too, is like, how many books have you given away? That is also something I think you should be tracking in terms of metrics. Because I can say I've sold X amount, and I've also run 10 promotions that have given away 7,000 copies of the book in those promotions. Because if that brings people back into your bigger ecosystem and orbit, then it's worth it. So it really comes back to what we started off with saying, goals. Like, what are the goals? Yeah. And then what are the different metrics to tie to those goals?
So a couple of thoughts come to mind on that. So number one, right, is that left too. Okay. We're it was so good. Okay. That'll come back hopefully. The second thing though, that I wanted to say is, just because you might not reach some certain sales figure does not necessarily always directly correlate to whether or not the book is a good book.
Correct.
All right.
Good
so
distinction.
This is also why you need to understand what success means to you, because your book could be really well done, right? But if you don't know how to market it, you don't know how to promote it, or you're not doing either of those things, obviously the book's not going to sell. So you can't really say whether or not your book is successful from a qualitative perspective, the way that it's written, the way that it looks, the voice, the authority, whatever, just because it's not selling, because the not selling might have to do more with marketing and promotion, right, than the actual, like, whether or not the book is worthy of being read, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's really what tied into the first thing that kind of left and then came back, which is just like, what are you doing to help get the book out there, right? Because this like build it and they will come mindset, it's false. Not how it works, right? This was the other thing. Having an understanding of ROI. Because the other part that's going to trip you up, right, as an author, is if you automatically assume that your success is this equation of, I spent X amount of money to produce this book, therefore I need to sell X number of copies to make my money back. And you think that it's just dividing the amount that you spent by the retail price of the book, you're already not gonna succeed that way. Right. Yeah. Because it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, which we talk about in a whole other episode. Right. We talk about the actual ROI and like the numbers to know and understanding that, the economics, if you will, of making money off of your book. So, you need to know that part. And so one of the metrics that you really need to be tracking, I think, is the different types of revenue generating opportunities that either come from your book. So you get the speaking gig because you have a book, right? Mm-hmm. And that speaking gig pays. To me, that's a correlation between book and then revenue. And that's a part of the ROI picture, right? Mm-hmm. Or the book doesn't help you get the speaking gig, but you're already at a conference networking and you end up telling somebody that you have a book and then they go out and buy it and they come back to you to be a client. Yes. Well, to me, that's also a part of that book's ROI, right? Absolutely. Harder to track sometimes because you might not know exactly how this whole kind of system circles back to you. But I think it's very much a part of understanding success. Mm-hmm. If one of the things that you've written the book for is to bring business back to you.
Yeah. And it's important internally to make sure that you're asking every client who comes through the door how they found you. Mm-hmm. I think and it's surprising how often people don't ask that question and they don't have that kind of common denominator. I know that like my last book, it came out in October of 2023. I can probably attribute maybe 6, possibly 7 authors that we have worked with in that time frame from then till now that specifically said that in one case, someone gifted them the book. And then in other cases, they knew someone who worked with us and then they bought the book and then they saw kind of like our approach. And then it was like not even really a conversation at that point. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, we're working together. So, but you had to ask to find out like, okay, how did you actually find me? And so when we have that information, we can do more of that because it might be that you do some kind of giveaway promotion and it's fantastic and it's great. And all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of clients because you did this kind of giveaway. If you're tracking these metrics, you'll know maybe I should do that again. Or if you do it and you see nothing, so say, you have a book giveaway, it gives away 5,000 copies of the book and only 5 people join your mailing list in a relative time frame kind of shortly after that launch or after that promotion, you can kind of make a safe bet that it wasn't really super effective versus if you see a huge bunch of numbers come in, you're like, all right, there's something to be said about that. Let me put a little more money into that promotion the next time around. So all of these things, it's a matter of having the data so we can make better and more informed decisions the next time we try to do something.
Yeah. The other thing too to be mindful of is like time frame. Most books are going to sell the best in their first, 30, 60, 90 days after publication, right? Yeah. Their front list at that point. You're going to see likely sales are going to taper off after that initial publication date because you're likely also stepping off the gas a little bit. But that's also where authors can get into trouble is because as they're kind of taking the pressure off of reminding people that the book exists, right? Less people are going to know about it. And then the next wave of books hits the marketplace, right? And now people's attention is going elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So, you can't necessarily say, oh, my book's really successful because it was successful in the first 30, 60, 90 days, right? Like on the life cycle of the book. Mm-hmm. You can say, yes, you had a successful first 30, 60, 90 days, but really the overall success of the book is tracking it over a period of time and seeing how it performs. Now, one of the things that I've heard a lot from authors, especially more recently, actually, is feeling like they don't have a lot of oversight.
Interesting.
Sales.
Say more.
Like they feel like the information they get, let's say from Author Central, is extremely limited in terms of, sales data. Where is it coming from? That type of thing. I feel like some authors they get their quarterly reports or biannual reports from their publishers, but apart from just a figure, they don't really have a bigger picture or understanding of where are people finding it and how are people purchasing it and and then usually with returns, right? Returns are this like delayed thing from booksellers, right? Because they could have your book in store for God knows how long before they're sending them back because nobody bought them, right?
Yeah.
Jen, what do you think? You're a publisher, you get more access to that data than I would as like a coach. So
You know, the really crappy part is that you would think I have access to more data, but the reality is the publishers that we don't. So, you know, like we're an Ingram publisher. And so Ingram provides a very generic report to us that says this book sold this many paperbacks, or this book sold this many hardcovers. And that's all we have. We have no idea what retailer is selling them. Zero clue. We basically know if Amazon sold it or somewhere in the other 40,000 places sold it, which is so unhelpful from an author standpoint and also from a publisher standpoint. I think the one thing I would say for authors to be able to kind of advocate for themselves on is like our default is that we provide quarterly reports. So that way you can see your numbers on a quarterly basis. Some publishers do every 6 months, some do every 12 months. Like it's kind of like a wide range of how that works. But ask your publisher if they'll run the numbers for you at a different time. So if you go out and you are speaking or you are on some big podcast and you are confident that it's going to move books and the numbers are going to move, just ask the publisher if they can run a report for a certain window of time to see if that's actually true. I know for us, we do that. I actually just had an author in one of our office hours last week ask if we could send him monthly reports for a while. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. But it's not going to be any more detailed than it currently is. But at least you have that the window of time that you're looking in versus looking at something in 12 months and being like, I wonder what was actually I can tie to that particular thing that I was doing at the time.
Right. I also think it depends too, like how complicated is your kind of ecosystem of like where your book exists. So for example, working with a client right now, and you know, his book only exists on Amazon. Like that's the only place that you can you know, go and get it. And he's doing an ebook sale the whole month of November. So what I've been doing is checking in with him every single week on where's the sales figure at now. Like trying to just determine, helping him kind of track and understand, like, is that ebook sale driving any more overall sales, right, to the book, even if it's in the ebook format? Because he's just trying to get the book into more hands, right? He's trying to generate new interest now that the book's been out a year. But it's kind of easier to kind of understand, like if the book's only being sold and bought on Amazon, then we know that all of the traffic that we might be seeing, all of the new sales that we might be seeing is specific to potentially him promoting that he's got an ebook sale going on right now. And that's being promoted to his email list, it's being promoted to his LinkedIn profile. Those are really the only places that he's got his platform, right? So very small ecosystem, you can draw different conclusions than when you're somebody who's cast a wide net in terms of your online presence. The book might be available through Amazon and then distributed through Ingram to all these other different channels, right? You might then have a business and a website and you might be selling it directly, right? So now we've got all these like tentacles out there, and it can be just a much harder way to track.
Yeah. And I think that's why planning in the beginning of this is helpful, because then you can say, all right, my distribution strategy looks like this. Therefore, I am going to track my success this way for this channel, this way for this channel, and have something. So that way you don't just get all kinds of numbers thrown at you and then you have no idea what to do with them. So I think the more forethought we can put into it, the easier it can potentially be for us down the road. And then just having somewhere to go to ask people like questions on how do I actually how do I fix this? How should I be looking at this? And I think at least, you know, we have our show where we're giving people some practical guidance around it. But I think a lot of authors are just completely operating in the dark and have no idea what they're doing and just kind of like hoping for the best. And it makes me sad. And that's also partly why we do the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there, we wrapped it all up in 35 minutes.
Look at us on fire today.
Oh my gosh. Actually, Jen, is there like a program? I mean, AI, right? It's everywhere. Is there any program that you've come across yet that could like almost like track an ISBN through the interwebs to have a better understanding of how it's performing or how it's selling? Or wouldn't that be wonderful? AI gods everywhere, listen to our call.
You know, there are some royalty software programs that help publishers basically track. I have evaluated most of them and they are not helpful in any way, shape, or form because the systems just don't talk to each other in any cohesive way. And you have like one big aggregator of it that has like really choppy connections to all of the others. And so I have yet to see anything that is actually helpful, but that would be amazing for us to wish into the universe for somebody with some capital to pour into helping authors is tracking, kind of where, like, really detailed tracking. Because I think people would make such different decisions, but I also think that probably will never happen because too many bodies and organizations have something to lose by being that transparent. So it feels like it may not be. Transparency is not really what publishing is known for, unfortunately.
Boo.
Yeah, it sucks. And I hate it because, like, I want to be as transparent as possible. And then when I get questions from authors, I'm like, I wish I had something better to share with you, but I'm dealing with Amazon, who is not transparent, or I'm dealing with Ingram, who is not transparent. It's like, I'm only operating with as much data, and I give them all of the data that I have.
Yeah. Really frustrating that there's such a huge gap here, given how old publishing is, generally speaking, but also now how varied it is. Like, we have so many avenues now of being able to publish. And then we have all this crazy technology. You would think that this would not still be an issue.
It is because they are all feeding into the same old, outdated system. That is the problem. Someone has to, like, literally invest probably $1 billion to, like, strip the whole entire distribution network to its core and rebuild the entire thing with modern day technology. I think that is the core reason why there's as many problems as there are. It is such a huge Herculean lift that I don't think anyone's going to put the money into. Even Amazon, which, Amazon controls such a huge percentage of the market. They are so good in so many ways, in terms of customer service, in terms of their quality of books just keeps getting better and better. And at the same time, it's like books account for like 5% of Amazon's total revenue. Why on earth would they be the ones that would kind of take that charge to kind of reinvent the system that would only make it easier to compete against them, right? Like, they're probably the only ones with the resources to do that. And anything that helps would just make it more of a competition for them. So they have no incentive. It's a frustrating system. Actually, when we were together at the book launch, I was chatting with someone else who was there in the industry, and we were kibitzing about all of these things and saying that we both just need to be magically independently wealthy to just have all of this money to throw into the industry to fix all of these problems for all of us.
Yeah.
We're not there.
Ugh.
I know. What a lovely note to end on. We need to spin this around.
Okay, well, we're going to spin it around by talking about where we're going next month. So, because we're already at 40 minutes, which is just wild. So, in our final episode of season 2, which is coming December 11th, we are going to be talking about the secrets to sustaining your energy on working on a book. So, I'm really pumped about next month's topic, because this is like tips and tricks and strategies for getting her done. And I have had a lot of clients recently. I don't know if it's like some sort of like wide sweeping energetic thing that's going on, that are just really stuck. Like, they're just stuck, they're feeling unmotivated. They're feeling like they're overanalyzing. They're trapped in their own thoughts. They're getting stuck in, repeating themselves or censoring themselves, or they're just falling out of alignment with their schedule, or just whatever it is. And so I feel like next month's topic is going to be a good one, like, because we can bring some juice to that, and like giving people some really tangible, practical ways of digging back in when they're feeling thwarted from, finishing their drafts. Or
all of it, right? Like, working on my book, like in this case, we're talking more about the writing, because that's really where the tactics come in. But it's the same thing for when you're feeling that way when you're publishing, or you're feeling that way when you're marketing. Like, it's all the same kind of like malaise that's like running through, where we need that pick me up. And what's interesting is that I am almost done with my next book, Promote Your Purpose, which, do you see that the proof copy is behind me?
Love.
How gorgeous is she?
Yeah.
And so much of the book talks about sustaining energy. Like, so much of it is about creating a sustainable way to promote your book, instead of just following whatever the latest trend is. So I'm hoping to weave some of that in next month too.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so I am ready for next month's conversation. I love it. So pumped about that topic. So between now and then, Jen, what's up? What, I mean, you just kind of did a natural segue. So is there something about promote your purpose that you want to shout out to our audience right now, or something else you've got coming up?
Sure. Yeah, it will be out next year. The launch date has been set for February 17th for a while, but I might move it. Actually, I'm thinking about changing things, moving it a little bit later out. Our marketing report will be out soon as well. It's in the final stages of being designed. So it's a book marketing survey, just kind of really addressing like how what the challenges are for folks that have been occurring in this at least calendar year. And if you go to bookmarketingsurvey.com, there's a way to just kind of add your name in so you can be notified when it comes available. So and then promote your purpose book is where all the book related things live. So any of those things. I'm in marketing mode right now.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. So for me, what I've got coming up, starting the 24th of this month and running all the way through December 31st is a special price on my 60-minute consultations.
Nice.
So I call those story starters because they're a beautiful way to gain that momentum that you need when you're first beginning the writing and publishing journey. Or if you're already on it and you're just feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling doubtful, uncertain, or you've got specific questions that are keeping you up at night, these 60-minute sessions together one-to-one on Zoom are perfect for moving those blocks out of your way, giving you some really actionable items to keep moving forward, and also packed with resources and just like exercises that you can do that are specific to your issue, right, or challenge. So they're going to be $99. You can buy up to 5. It's a pay now, use later. And so you get them during the sales window, and then you can use them anytime between January 1st and July 31st of next year. So if 2026 is the year that you're going to be biting off writing your book, then these are like perfect to grab now. So you've already got expertise roped in to touch base with you throughout those first 6 months of the calendar year.
That is such a good deal.
So yeah, and they're normally $375. And yeah, I'm not cheap, y'all, okay? Because I know what I'm doing. So if you want to come and work with me, even just in a little bite-sized piece, $99. Like, it's a perfect little gift to yourself this holiday season.
I love that. I think if I were starting a new memoir, which I'm not currently, I am working on something else already, even though my 8th book is not out yet. I've already moved on to writing something else. I think I would honestly like take advantage of your story, your story situations, because like you just need somebody to brainstorm off of. And you and I could teach each other the same damn thing, but like there's something like magical about having somebody, even if you feel like you know what you're trying to do, having like an expert come in. So I love that you're doing that, and I hope people take advantage of it, and what a great gift to give to somebody else.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, if you don't want it for you, but you know somebody it would be perfect for, just like get in touch. I am happy to walk you through how to do that, and then give it to a colleague, give it to a friend, give it to a family member who's had writing a book like on their list forever.
Such a meaningful gift. I love that.
And honestly, like if you wanted to be able to wrap that stuff, I will make you something in Canva. I will print it out. I will put it in a beautiful little envelope. I will mail it to you to stick under the tree, in the stocking, next to the menorah, whatever. Like, you know, I'm here for it. These were super popular in June. I did it as a summer sale, and I sold 17 in a month.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. Because it's such a steal. Yeah. Take advantage of it. Get it for the holidays. Way better than giving someone, a gift card that's just going to go out and frivolously spend on something they don't really want in the first place.
Yeah. And nobody wants the Jelly of the Month Club. So
no. What if I did? What if that was like the thing that I was hoping for this year? How would you feel about yourself right now?
No judgment, man. I mean, I like a good jelly too, but I don't want 12 months of it.
I can't say I do either, but
oh my God. All right, folks. So for me, like if you want in on that story starter deal, the best thing to do is to come to therightplacerighttime.com. That's my website. Scroll down the homepage just a little bit till you see the email box. Sign up for the emails, because that is where they're going to be first promoted. And you'll get the first sign that they're available. Otherwise, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn. And when I post about it there, you'll be able to know about it and get yourself one of them over there. Jen, you mentioned bookmarketingsurvey.com for that piece. What about for promote your purpose? Should people be signing up somewhere for
Yeah, pre-orders are open. And I also have a card deck that I created to go with it, which I am so excited about because it looks so damn good. So they're both at promoteyourpurpose.com. You can buy the book, you can buy the card deck, you can buy the bundle, you can buy more of one of the other. They will not be out until next year, so they were not a good holiday item this year, but perhaps next year they will be a good holiday item.
Yeah, love that. Love
Amazing.
that.
Oh,
Awesome.
well, I feel like we've done our job.
We've done our job for today. We'll be back with you all next month. And as you always know, if you've got something when you're watching the replay that you've got a question on, drop it into the comments and we'll be sure to get back with you.
We are always here.